don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabel, and Melissa.
All right, guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam. We're really excited about today's episode because today we've got one of our friends, Kenny Wright. He's a real estate investor. We met at a mastermind, and so we can't wait to catch up with him and hear about his real estate journey. Kenny, how you doing today?
Doing excellent. How about y'all?
Good. We're doing good. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
We know you're a busy man, so we really do appreciate your time. You might have a little extra time with the COVID virus and stuff, but all time is important. Yeah, thanks a lot for being here today.
Actually, I don't have as much time as COVID. I wish I could have like a COVID break because my business is essential, so it's essentially been too busy.
Oh, wow. Well, can you tell us a little bit about, where you got started in real estate and kind of where your business is now?
So I started with construction background. I own a construction company. We do commercial and residential additions, remodels, and a lot of like new custom home builds. So I've made money doing that, and from there I wanted to venture off with some extra capital that I might have had. And back in 2008, 2009, everything crashed, and that's when I started my business. So it's perfect time to start a business. At that time, and I made a good chunk of money my first year, but then there was nothing for like 3 or 4 years. But luckily I made enough and I lived off of that. And then I bought my first rental house around 2012, I believe. I got a franchise with a buddy. We got the We Buy Ugly Houses Home Investors franchise. So we bought that franchise back in 2013, I believe, after I got my first rental, and him and I did a lot of wholesaling deals. We actually probably 80 or 90% of our stuff was all wholesale.
Wow.
And we were making good fees on those back then. We didn't really have a whole lot of capital to purchase properties, and I didn't at the time. Both of us didn't really like going the hard money route when we could flip it and make a quick 30, 40 grand and not have to deal with the headache or anything.
Right.
I mean, I both had construction backgrounds, so we already knew what the headache was on remodels. So we were just like, don't really want, even though we have the background and we can do that, we just didn't want to do it as much when we could make a quick wholesale fee on it. So we did that for a few years, and then construction started turning around in our market, and I basically told him I was out. Cost per leads were about 3 times from what we originally started. We were blowing through $10,000, $15,000 a month in marketing expenses. And if you go 2 months of marketing expenses, you're 20 G's out. Well, that's a wholesale fee. So now you're at break even after you've gone and looked at 100 properties. So I was like, dude, the market's just getting a little crazy right now. I just want out. So he bought my portion out, and I went back doing construction for a while. And I only had 2 rentals at that point. 2 or 3, maybe. I don't remember. So one of my other rentals I bought, I kept, and then I flipped it like a year later and made over 6 figures on that. From there, I took that money and I went to Wichita Falls, which is like an hour and a half north of here, and I bought maybe 9 properties or something up there with all that cash. I 1031 exchanged it. That did not perform as well up there. That market's just like crazy. So the renters are bad is why, and it's hard to owner finance properties back out. So I had 9 properties. One of them was a subject to, another was owner finance. Some I paid in cash, and maybe 1 or 2 I had with the bank. Maybe it was just one. But I sold all those properties off in March or April of 2019, I believe.
Okay.
And then from there, I wanted it out of the rental game because that one cost me a lot of money up there. I mean, I broke even by the time I sold it, but the headache was a high headache factor. And I felt like I could make more money just doing hard money lending side. And that's how I started lending for the most part, was cashing out of all those properties and having cash on the side and helping everybody else that wants to flip. So yeah.
Wow, that's quite the full circle. So you went from construction into real estate, back into construction, now into hard money. There's a couple of questions.
But I still have my construction company right now. So I still have a full construction company. I just do real estate like on the side and lending all on the side.
Right. Trying to take that active income and turning it into passive income through the hard money lending and the rentals.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have a couple of questions from that. The first one is you're the first person that I've talked to that was an actual We Buy Ugly Houses franchise owner, the Homevestors owner. So I'm wondering if you could take me down that path a little bit. Do you think that there's I don't even know what the benefits of going that franchise route. Would you recommend it for a newer investor? Would you recommend it for an older investor? What do you get from the franchise? I obviously I understand franchise model is cookie cutter. You can take it from one place and put it in the next, but what did that actually look like for you in Homevestors?
So before us doing that, him and I were trying to market and trying to get deals locally. And we felt being in the DFW market, it was harder for us to do because you had Homevestors, which is the big dog over here. And basically, they're just a massive, massive marketing organization. So we decided instead of, trying to against them, why not just play ball with them and go in? So for us, it worked to get into the franchise and pay the fee with them. Because then everybody in DFW, the franchises are divided up into different areas. So we had a certain county that was ours. But all those different counties we would pull together into one big bowl of money. And from there, Homevestors would spend all the money on marketing, postcards, billboard signs, calls, everything. So we didn't have to deal with any of that. And while we were still kind of doing some construction a little on the side, that made sense for us because we don't want to deal with the marketing aspect. We just wanted our phone to ring and then, jump in our truck and go check out a lead. That's all we wanted to do. And for us, that worked out good. For the time period, their fees do start adding up and it starts pissing you off. But we had to take it with a grain of salt. Like, we didn't want to deal with all the marketing. So,
yeah, you're going to pay for it one
day. At some point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as far as recommending it, you would recommend it or you wouldn't to a brand new investor?
It really depends on what market you're in and who are the big dogs in that market. When all the bigger dogs in our market were going to Homevestors, so we're not competing with them, we're only competing against Homevestors, it made sense for us.
Right.
But if a big dog in a smaller market is really not that big and your marketing and expenditure is not a whole lot, then I would say no, because it's not worth all the fees and the things that they require you to do.
Right.
Our market, it made sense, but now would I go back and do it in DFW? Probably not, because the guys that are already doing it outside of Homevestors and they don't want to go back, and those were the guys that were spending $50,000 to $100,000 a month in marketing, and they're not going back. So if they're not, then I'm not going to follow suit with them.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, Melissa, did you have anything on that, or you want to monopolize?
No, not necessarily on that. I was more interested in how he went from lending, like pushing into hard money, and what that looked like.
You cut up a little bit, but you said how he went from private money lending to hard money lending?
Yes.
So I still do the private, lending, and I try to catch the spread on that. So I have people that, let's just say, have 100 grand sitting around and they don't know what to do with it. Well, I can offer them a negotiated interest rate on that and give them first lien positions on properties. I will still charge, kind of hard money fees on that going out because I'm still processing it and doing the paperwork and servicing the loan. But I have used private money for my own personal stuff. And that's how I was able to flip a lot of money and make more. So I've taken private money and then I've doubled or tripled that in a year plus time period when we were buying and selling stuff. Now I've kind of gotten to more of the hard money aspect and transactional lending because I can have cash sitting on the side. Each one really depends on the term of what somebody's wanting something for. I usually do like a 3-month minimum term at a certain interest rate, and I will put first lien position on with either my money or with a private money, so that they have their money secured with that property. I find that an easier route, especially when I have relationships with these people. It's easier to get some money that way. And just service it and be the middle guy.
Are you looking for people with cash to help put that to work, or you're looking for people with 401ks, or where are you finding your funding source, you think?
Everybody's usually cash. I know you can do a lot with 401k and everything, and I'm not super knowledgeable at that right now, so I haven't really tried to go after that aspect of things. I just try to keep it simple for the most part, and I'm lending to 4 or 5 people that I know. So I just roll those funds. I really haven't tried to take on a bunch of extra loans right now,
right?
Because I'm kind of just doing it on the side, but. When you got a few people and you got a bunch of money out, then it still creates some passive income for now. The goal would be to slowly get out of my construction stuff and then just do lending and creating products for people so they can do some lending or buy properties without the bank.
Kenny, is it national or it's local to Texas?
No, I don't know the last loan that I did in Texas. It was probably maybe last year or something.
Wow.
Everything else has been in other states.
Awesome.
North Carolina, Oklahoma, Nevada, Ohio. I'm trying to think if that's Arizona. That's probably where the majority of it's been in the last year.
And is people that you meet, through real estate, through Mastermind? I mean, how do you develop these relationships?
Most of the people I've been meeting through the Kingdom, we've met at an event and just talked with them and told them what I was doing. And, come to find out, shocker, people need help with money on financing deals if they want to take it down. So it kind of, first, I wasn't really planning on doing that. I was really the private lender for a buddy of mine that was doing hard money here in Texas only. And so that's sort of how it all came about. I was just doing it with him, and I was like, well, I can do this and make a few more points interest on it and continue to service everything. So I started out with him, and then after just talking to people, we were like, well, can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. Sure. So it's kind of just been a trickle down effect from that of just meeting and talking to people, because I've pretty much done zero marketing. It's just been word of mouth.
Kenny, have you had any negative experiences? Have you had to foreclose on somebody? Have you had to foreclose on, a property that was out of state that you'd never seen before or anything like that? And
luckily, no, I have not had to foreclose on anything. I've had people that were maybe been a month or so behind on payments, but then it gets caught up. Most of it has all been relationship based. So I really haven't had too big of an issue. There is a little issue with this COVID stuff on 1 or 2 of my loans, but they're not sizable loans. So I think we can get squared away with it once stuff, pans it out.
Issue like they're slow on payments, not issue like they're stealing your money.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. So I'm not really trying to hack down on somebody. I understand what people are going through, and if somebody's behind, hey, look, man, I'm behind. It may be 2 months before I can get you a payment or something. Okay. Like, I'm not totally start foreclosure on somebody.
Well, and that's what really one of the big benefits of doing your relationship-based lending and your relationship-based borrowing is, as long as you're having those conversations, that eliminates a lot of the animosity that happens, right? If I can just call you up on your cell phone and say, hey, 3 of my renters aren't renting this, aren't paying their rent. One of them is, and we're using that to pay the insurance and electricity. Would you rather me pay your monthly payment or keep insurance on the house? Of course, that's pretty simple conversation.
Exactly.
If you're actually having a conversation.
Exactly. I'd rather just have the conversation. I mean, be honest with me. Okay, you're going to be late. All right, cool. When can I expect it? Because sometimes I'll have private lenders that are on it, and I need to, just go ahead and pay their interest, or give them an update and say, hey, here's what the deal is.
Right, absolutely.
We had a deal in Oklahoma that I JV'd on, and I used private money on that. And my portion of the JV 50-50 split was I was providing the money on it, and then we split the profits. Well, the project went way, way over budget, so I ended up having to come out of pocket to cover the expenses on that, and then the property sat too long. And so when all was said and done, I paid my investor his money, but I made zero return on my cash. And the headache was not worth it for that time period. At that point, I was like, I would have rather just lent the money out and made $6,000 on the entire deal than a potential $30,000, which ended up turning to zero.
Yeah.
We know what that's like. Did you turn it into a rental afterwards?
No, it got sold, thank goodness.
Oh, well, your story's different than ours, just a little.
But I have had that where I was like, well, it's going to be a rental now.
Yeah, and then everything backed up into the tub. Like the first day of the rental, the people move in, all the drains.
Yeah.
Everything became like a money pit.
I had a rental like that, and they called me right after they moved in. It was like maybe a month later, and it was old galvanized water lines, and they were just all rusted on the inside. And I had to send my plumber over there, and it cost me like $12,000 to replace all the water lines, all the sewer lines, because I was like, all right, we're already in there. I might as well just, I'm not going to put a Band-Aid on it. I'm just going to replace it all. So I've had to do that. It sucks.
We did that. We chose to do it. I guess we used the PEX piping, and that reduced our costs significantly. We didn't have to redo any of the sewer lines. We just had to redo the water in lines. So
yeah.
And we learned a lot, right?
That's right. We always learn a lot.
Make sure you have equity on your property.
Agreed.
You're going to have to pay for something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, back to that hard money. Do you guys have a property profile? Do you guys have specific kind of, houses or properties you're looking for?
I kind of have a criteria that I like to base it off of. I usually like to do 75% max of the ARV. This market's getting a little bit different, so I don't know, like I may have to adjust some of those numbers just to keep my risk down. And I usually charge a origination point or a point and a half, get in some money. Other than that, I mean, each situation I feel like is different. So I've went in a lot of different situations. I basically just want to know what somebody's scenario is, what they're trying to do, blah, 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 and then make an educated decision from that.
I know you probably don't want to say, hey, specifically, I always charge X number percent on those loans as far as payment wise, but can you give us a range of, between, 12 and 24% or, something crazy?
I would say we're probably averaging between 12 to 14% maybe. I have some unsecured stuff that is a lot higher, but that's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. What's your minimum loan look like? Do you do the 50,000, 25,000 type loans, or are you looking more for 150 plus rehab costs, or how does that look?
I mean, I'm trying to narrow that down. I've actually done some loans that are like down to 10 grand. but we've also kind of JV'd on the deal.
Yeah.
So I have a better benefit on that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we got in Ohio, we bought that for around 15 and we contracted it yesterday for like 38. So it's a JV deal on that. So I provided the funds and we'll be able to split it.
Nice.
So that's a little bit different. If it's a longer, like a 3-month minimum, I find that I don't really get excited for anything less than $30,000-$40,000. Like to do the paperwork and then, you know, make a few $100. It's just, it's not super exciting.
No, especially are you using any type of loan servicing, or are they just cutting you a PayPal or Venmo directly to you? Or are you doing something to track it?
Pretty much right now I'm not using a servicing, so I'm trying to work on getting another app where I can put all my loans and everything in it besides my Excel spreadsheet and keep track of loans better. And then I may roll that into a servicing. But as of now, everybody, they have a deadline. It's written on the promissory note that they need to send a check in or they wire it to me. And that's all written in the document.
Yeah, well, that just makes it even more important that you're not messing around with those $5,000 loans if you're doing all the legwork yourself like that.
Right.
That just overwhelmingly causes problems eventually, you know.
Right. So like a $30,000 loan at 12%, that's only $300 for the month. Like,
yeah, it's almost not worth the time if you're not looking at some bigger money.
Right.
There.
$100,000 loan at 12%, that's $1,000 a month. So that makes more sense to work on paperwork at that point and keep track of everybody's stuff.
Thank you, Kenny. That was I liked hearing about how you did that, turned it into a hard money. Do you have a company that's set up just to do the hard money?
So my overall goal is to be buying and selling notes and doing debt capital. I really like to do that. And then I can start doing it from wherever I'm at and not driving around checking on jobs for the most part.
Right.
So right now I have longhornnotes.com. I don't even know if it's up because they've been working on it. But I'm going to start directing people there. And from there, I'm going to have like Longhorn Capital and start working for products for people to have like longer term money, like 30-year money at a lower interest rate without having to go to the bank. So if I can get people 75% without having to go to the bank and have 30-year money, I think it'll be a great product. And then you're not also limited to how many you can have under your LLC, personal loan amount. I think it's 10 right now.
Yeah, that's my understanding, 10 loans. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm working on trying to get a package where you could also, you know, refi cash out a portfolio or also put longer term money in it.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely need for that in this space. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that's exciting. We're eager to follow your journey and see how it works out and see what happens there. Is there anywhere else that you want our audience to potentially find out what you're up to or visit your website?
You can visit my website. You can always go to just my regular Facebook page. I mean, I don't post a whole lot of business stuff on there. I try not to, but I probably should. But longhornnotes.com, and that's where I'm going to start putting like some forms and stuff on there so people can fill it out and it'll automatically send to me and for, you know, loan requests. Other than that, you can get on there and find my phone number or my email address and shoot me an email.
All right. Well, we'll be reaching out with our next flip. No, I'm just kidding.
We're sending you an email right now.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, I wonder if you had any advice for newer guys in the real estate field that are trying to, maybe they haven't done a whole lot of projects yet, but they're looking to get some sort of either hard money funding or private money funding. I know you've done both. How should they approach that situation? And do you have any tips or recommendations on how they might be able to convince an experienced investor that they know what they're talking about, even though they might be wet behind the ears?
I would say build a relationship with somebody first, one or two people. So you got a good relationship with some money person, and build that relationship and say, hey, if I got some deals, like, go ahead, send it over to you and take a look and see if you want to fund it. I mean, shoot, send me what you got. I'll take a look at it. If it doesn't make sense for me, I may know somebody else that would want to fund that particular deal. So don't act like just like that one person is your end all stop, because that one person can know 10 other people. May not fit my criteria, but it may fit somebody else. You never know who you're meeting or talking to.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so grateful for your time today, Kenny. And we'll be reaching out again soon. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, check out our website, shorefrontrestorations.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Shorefront Restorations. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at info@shorefrontrestorations.com. See you next episode.